Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's YBP Gang, YBP Nation, YBP Boxing, YBP MMA, and coming back with fights to make next after UFC 304 video. We're just gonna be going through all the potential fights that could be made, or the fights that I think need to happen next. Let's just get right into the video. First one, I have Belal Muhammad going up against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat Rakhmonov is on a tremendous win streak. He just came off his win over Stephen Thompson. Great fighter. And just looking at the rankings, a lot of these are going to be the top guys. I feel like it's a little easier because, it's kind of just like who's the odd one out, who's the next guy up. So you can kind of just decipher from there as to who should be fighting next. So, with Belal, there's really two guys. It's really just two guys I think are in contention to fight him next. It's really Shavkat and Usman. I've heard some people, Laura Sanko, Dean Thomas has talked about maybe Usman getting that next shot. But for me, I think it's clearly Shavkat. Usman, though, you can make that argument. He's arguably the best pound-for-pound guy going up a weight class, showing his skills against Hamza. I think he doesn't get enough credit for that performance. He's a very good fighter, very big name, might potentially be the biggest name in that division. So, and, some people might say it's going to be hard to sell a Belal Shavkat fight, just considering Shavkat's a new name to the overall fan base. But, I don't think so, man. I think Shavkat's a finisher. If we're able to sell Leon versus Belal, we'll be able to sell Shavkat Belal. It really just matters about where the fight's going to happen. And that's basically it. It's just geography. I think if that fight's happening in Vegas, maybe you lean towards a Belal Usman fight, but if that fight's in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia, I love a fight with Belal and Shavkat. It just makes so much sense. So, yeah, it's all about just timing at the end of the day with these title shots, but it makes a ton of sense. He's number 2. He's never fought for the belt, and it seems inevitable. And a lot of people are picking Shavkat to win. I don't agree. Maybe I'll make I'm making a hot takes video. I don't know if it's gonna come out today, but I'll definitely touch upon how I think Belal does against these next guys. So, first matchup. I spent way too much time on that first one. Let me speed through these. Okay, number 1, Belal for Shavkat. Clear matchup. Next one, Leon versus Leon Edwards. Loss against Belal Muhammad. He needs an opponent. I got JDM for him. Here's how I think things should really shake up. So, obviously, JDM is injured. I'm hoping that he'll return by the end of the year, and that matches up perfectly with Leon Edwards' timeline. He wants to come at the end of the year. JDM's out. He's injured. Obviously, Gary's the obvious choice because he's healthy. He's perfectly good. He's not out. But I think Gary wanted the Shavkat fight. He could fight Leon. I don't know if he wants that smoke. I'm not really sure. I'm perfectly fine with him fighting Leon, though. I'm not trying to protect anybody. So a big criticism that I did hear from a lot of people, though, is that they don't want to match up Leon Edwards with other guys, other up-and-coming guys. I did hear that from one of the podcasts that I heard. They don't want to match up Leon with these up-and-coming guys, so they're going to ruin the hype train. Because if I'm being honest, Leon has all the skills to be great. He just can't seem to put it all together and just doesn't have that, mental fortitude. He just has mental lapses in there. He kind of just, does stupid stuff in there. We've seen it in the past, but it just all came crashing down in this fight with Belal. So he has a skill set to really he could really dominate Gary. He could potentially go out there and dominate JDM. I wouldn't pick it, but I think it's a really tough fight for him because he's a boxer. But I don't know. I think Leon's if he's that top level guy, I think you keep him up with the high ranked guys. I heard someone talk about a Jorge Masvidal fight potentially. I'm not really. Nah, you could do that, but Jorge is 39. I think that ship sailed. For me, I like JDM. JDM's a top-level guy. And I think for Gary, you give him a guy like Colby. If Colby, whenever he was ready to fight, you give him a guy like that. And then, it's weird. The division's kind of weird. There's so many matches you could do, but I think the JDM fight's JDM's way more deserving. JDM beat Burns while Gary beat MVP. So, I know Gary beat Neal, but I think JDM, way bigger win, comeback win. He's the hotter prospect right now. He's the guy everyone's clamoring for. People aren't really, that excited for Gary. I think you give it to JDM. Next fight, we have Aspinall. And this one, he's the interim champion, so, it's a little harder. For him, he's just got to wait. But I think the perfect opponent would be the Gane Volkov winner. Let's face it, guys. He's probably not going to be able to fight John Jones. John Jones is going to retire after the Miocic fight. We know this. We've been over this. The guy's a duck. It sucks, but we got to move on with our lives. We can't just keep sitting there and be like, oh, Jones, keep fighting him. He's not going to fight him. That's the reality of the situation. He's a duck. And so Aspinall has to move on. And the way it's looking, I really can't see anybody beating Tom Aspinall at this point. He's such a good fighter. I don't know if he'll ever lose again, to be honest. But Gane, I think, poses an interesting matchup. He's another athletic guy, another, I wouldn't say well-rounded like Blaydes, but he has such elite striking, so he could pose threats on the feet. He gets out of the way of shots. He's just as fast as Aspinall, just as athletic. And I think it's a matchup where Aspinall's probably going to have to resort to the wrestling. So it could play out very interestingly, and I think it probably goes a couple rounds. So, yeah, I like that matchup. Hopefully Gane can get past Volkov because, now Volkov's improved his striking a little bit, it seems like. But, yeah, I think the winner of Gane Volkov should definitely fight Aspinall, even if it's a Volkov rematch. If he beats a guy like Gane, he would have earned that shot. So, yeah, give us that. For Blaydes, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Give him the Tabora Spivak winner. He definitely needs to take a step down in levels. I'm a very big Blaydes fan. I've always been the guy saying the second best guy in the division. I still think he beats Jones, but we gotta chill though. I don't know if he's like an elite guy. You can't keep losing in the first round and then have a stake to that top spot. He even said in his he had a statement they made after the fight. He said that he caught Aspinall, which he did, caught him with a good shot, and then he just completely abandoned the game plan that his coaches gave for him. So it's just that dumb stuff that he does, that fight IQ. And you'll see that a lot of heavyweight. These guys are they're used to knocking people out. They're used to being told, oh, they have big power, all this type of stuff, and they just do stupid stuff sometimes. And Blaydes did that, against a very dangerous fighter. You could make the argument maybe the fight could have lasted longer. I was a little pissed in the moment when I was watching the fight, but looking back at it, it did not look good. I'm not even going you get that post-fight clarity, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, Blaydes to Boris Spivak winner. Just go down. Let's see if you can beat the regular guys. You know what I'm saying? The mid heavyweights, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, Paddy Pimblett. For this one, there were three names I was thinking about. There was Renato Moicano. Obviously, that's the person he called out. There was obviously BSD, because the everyone, for a long time on Twitter, people were saying BSD and Paddy are on the same level. I ain't gonna lie. I might even say Paddy better than BSD. I don't even BSD. I feel like they're similar fighters. Even though I think Paddy, he's made those improvements. I think with some good cardio, he's shown BSD's just so reckless, man. That guy's such a crash out, low key. He's just just wild in there, very undisciplined. Whereas Paddy, he's made those improvements. He's become more mature. So I almost see him as a mature BSD, you know what I'm saying? BSD has all the skills in the world, but this guy wants to go out there and, go into a car crash. I'd love to see BSD fight like Michael Chandler. That would be such that fight's not going the distance. You already know. But yeah, for Paddy Pimblett, I think he beats both those guys. Let's give him that real. I'm not even going to. Beneil Dariush is such a good fight. I would say, because Beneil Dariush is on the way out. He's been losing. I think he just had his loss where he got KO'd against Oliveira. And then he got KO'd against Saryukin. Two guys who are, top guys in the lightweight division. I think now Beneil's in that gatekeeper role. If you beat Dariush, you're a top guy. Obviously, we saw Dariush had that win over Gamrot. That's aged pretty well, because Gamrot's gone out there. He's gotten some wins past that, and he was even in that backup role spot for the lightweight championship. So, it's not an easy fight, but I think Paddy has all the tools, man. He has the power, he has the grappling, he has the striking. He has, a lot of tools that could give Beneil Dariush a lot of problems. My initial pick, honestly, was to just wait for Renato Moicano and the BSD winner. But I think you just, get the guy a fight, get him in there. I think Beneil, that's a very winnable fight. And if he loses, he's not in a bad spot necessarily. He could still bounce back for sure. You look at Hooker Gamrot. That's interesting if Hooker loses. I don't hate that fight, but I think Beneil's just such a gatekeeper, And Paddy can always fight down. I think you don't have to rush him to the title. I think you knock off a name like Beneil Dariush, everyone knows you're the real deal. And I think that's such a winnable fight. Beneil's he looks like he's on that Tony Ferguson slope. Like he's about to start losing a lot of fights. 2 straight finishes, 2 early finishes. Patty, I don't know. It looks like it's not going to be much different against him. So, and he's already talked. I don't know if actually, I'm not going to say that. I don't think he's talked about retirement, but it's not looking good for Beneil. This is the perfect time to catch him, if anything. So, yeah. My next fight I got, Makayev got cut, so I'm not really going to talk about him. Not going to talk too much about this one, but for Kopp, I just matched him up against Nicolau. Yeah, just run that back. They never fought. He's owed him a fight, I feel like. Just run that back. I felt that, after watching that fight, I thought Kopp did enough, but not a clear, conclusive victory. Just get that out the way. Actually give the fans an exciting fight, so like he's usually doing. Or maybe just, go back to knocking people out. Perez knocked out Nicolau, so there's no reason why Kopp can't. So, yeah, I say just run that back. Next matchup, Rodriguez. For Gregory Rodriguez, I got Joe Pyfer. These are both guys who are big prospects in the division. Pyfer is just getting back on his train. Gregory Rodriguez had a little slip-up against Bruno Ferreira, but I think this is his second straight victory since then with the CLD one. I forgot who we beat prior to that, but he's been on the tear. He's been doing his thing, and I think this is a resurgence fight. This is a really telling fight for both guys if they're really elite. And I think Pyfer's been tough in fighting tough comp, but this will really show us where he's actually at. It's not a Jack Hermanson. Gregory, I don't know if he's that good, but I mean, he could really be that good though. He has nasty power. Pyfer has nasty power. They're both guys who are, solid in all aspects of the game. I think it'll be an all-around, well-rounded fight, and it's a good test. I don't think we need to protect Joe Pyfer anymore. He kind of already lost that Jack Hermanson fight, so just put him in there. We don't need to build him up slowly or any of this type of stuff. Like the guy, how old is Joe Pyfer? Because there's this narrative we don't want to match these guys up tough, but Pyfer's been saying he wants to be champion, and Gregory's been knocked out before. He's actually pretty young, so yeah, low-key, it's actually kind of young. Maybe, but I mean Pyfer, bro, the winner of that fight is in the rankings, so. They bump out whoever's 15th, if I can see the rankings. Yeah, Chris Curtis, yeah, bro. The winner of that bumps him out the rankings. I don't want to give Gregory Hamza or Kayo I don't think he's deserving of that quite yet. So give him the next best guy outside the rankings, and the winner can slide Curtis outside the rankings. Because I don't think Curtis at this point is a top 15 guy with everyone outside the rankings doing what they're doing. So, yeah. That's what I got. Next matchup, I got Christian Leroy Duncan. I was very disappointed with that performance. I thought he'd do better in the grappling, and I thought he'd not clinch up every time he got hit. Easier said than done. I know Craig Rodriguez hits very hard, but I mean, the strategy was not followed. I mean, the way he was going to win that fight was having a pretty fight, fighting that range, picking apart the legs from distance, and just beating this guy up for 3 rounds. And he looked honestly solid for the first couple minutes of that first round. And then everything just fell apart once he got taken down. So I say put him in there with another good striker who's on a 2-fight losing streak, Dustin Jacoby. He'll stand there. He'll strike with him. He's of that pedigree. Hopefully he doesn't get taken down by Jacoby. I don't think Jacoby is the wrestling of Gregory Rodriguez. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Maybe he does. But I'm matching him up with the assumption that hopefully Jacoby will strike with him. And, yeah. Let's hope CLD can pass that test, but that's a good bounce back spot. Jacoby, he's on a little bit of a slide, and that's a winnable fight for Jacoby too. The CLD's young in his career, but he's making improvements, and he'll probably make improvements from the Gregory fight. And yeah, I mean, that fight could play out a lot of different ways, and I love it for CLD. So give me that fight. For the 10th and 11th fight, I'm matching up the first fight on the card. One of the best fights on the card, Allen and Giga. For the Allen fight, I got Arnold Allen going up against Yair Rodriguez. This is a fight that should have happened a long time ago. It should have been happened 5 times over. I think this is the time to do it. And I think timing just hasn't aligned for both guys. But yeah, let's just do it now. Allen, he went into this matchup with Giga. He said, I'm not going to wrestle. I'm going to go out there and strike with him. I was concerned because I thought under these circumstances, under just a pure kickboxing match, which it was, I thought Giga would win. He showed that he's on that level. And I'd love to see him try that against Yair. I think he can, if he could do that to Giga, he could probably do that to Yair. And then you mix in a takedown or two if things are getting a little crazy. And that's a 3-round decision victory. That's a domination victory. But with Yair, Yair's one of the best strikers in the entirety of the UFC. Great kicks, great hands. We know what he can do to people if they're sleeping. And we know Allen's chinny. So I think all around it's just a good matchup. We got Mexico versus England. It's a great fight, top 5 matchup, and I'd love to see it. So yeah, give me Allen versus Yair. And then for Giga Chikadze, I think he should just go down in the rankings. I'm kind of with Giga. I'm kind of at that same place where I was with Curtis Blaydes. Obviously, Giga hasn't got that crazy opportunity, but it seems like we hype him up a lot. I'm not going to lie. He is a bit overrated. I think I overrated him a lot. He fought, I felt like he fought good, though. Like, to be honest, he went out there, he went around. He didn't gas out like he usually does. And honestly, for the pace that Allen was putting on him for backing up, yeah, he didn't look as bad as he did in other fights. But clearly not the elite guy that I think people projected him to be. I think he's a little older. I'm not gonna lie. So for Giga Chikadze, I think just fight a little down the rankings. Give him a grappler. Give him a guy like Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell got killed bad in his last fight against Josh Emmett. So it's a get back spot. Giga could potentially go out there and knock him out, or he could get grappled. We saw him grappled in the Calvin Kattar fight. Maybe Bryce Mitchell can do the same thing to him. He's an elite wrestler. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, he's an elite. Yeah, he's a very good wrestler. Elite wrestler for sure. He took down Topuria, so yeah, I'll put him there. He's an elite wrestler. He has a good all-around, skill set. He was able to go out there and knock down Edson Barbosa. That was really big for the time. I think some of us thought, Bryce Mitchell had that, that ceiling to be something great. But then, Topuria fight happened. That was a tough one. Then the fight happened. People thought he didn't do that good, and then he just got KO. So get back spot for both these guys, who have struggled to really get past that hump. And yeah, I love that fight. Striker, grappler. Let's see who's better at what they do. So that's all I got for the fights to make after UFC 304. Great card. And, I loved doing content on it. I've gained a lot of subscribers through this whole experience, through that whole fight week. So I'm hoping that we can continue the consistency and keep growing the channel, man. YBP family, YBP gang, YBP nation, YBP boxing, YBP MMA. I'm out. Peace out, most guys. You know what it is.